With that, chat, that is another era in the books. I won in the 80s. I won in the 90s. I won in the 2000s. Chat gets their first win. And we head to the modern era. For the record, we're probably going to run a WNBA as well. And who knows? Maybe chat ties it up at 3 apiece. And maybe we revisit an era and see what happens. Who's to say? But we head to the modern era. And with that comes a very interesting situation. A very interesting situation. Because if we run Pistons and Spurs, who did finish last in this prior NBA season, it raises the question of how long does that last? Because you have two franchise level players, to say the least, on both teams, of course. So it creates an interesting little situation, as we mentioned. And obviously the rules are now quite different compared to where they were previously. And you know what? I like the idea. I like the idea of Pistons versus Spurs. I like it. Now, here's the thing. If we go off of rotating, your boy is supposed to be in the Western Conference. Expansion sounds like a good idea. I'm not totally against expansion. For modern day, have to go through expansion? I don't hate that. That's an interesting way to spice it up. We go east, that's fair. You guys just don't want to play the fucking Spurs in the playoffs. You don't want to play the Spurs. That's what it is. You know what? I like the expansion idea. I do. I think it's a solid option. It'll still probably fuck up the home arenas in the playoffs, but it is what it is. If we were to add an expansion team, I don't know if the game will still glitch. It might. God, the all-time teams. Just add like the classic Sixers. You know, I'm still worried that downloading something will break this because it has before. I just don't recall how it broke it. The custom logos broke MyNBA for us a couple years ago. That's why we normally don't do it. That's why we normally don't. I do believe it allows the color swap options. Have they added? Okay, so they haven't added any new teams, which is fair. You know what? I'm willing to let chat take the lead on this. I don't care where I end up. Why should I? I'm beating you 3-1. First and foremost, Eastern or Western Conference, chat? Eastern or Western Conference? Instead of going with the modern Spurs and Pistons and both getting a superstar, I like the expansion idea to change it up. Again, we probably won't do the Sonics. I don't want to use custom teams in case it's still fucking broken, which again, it has been broken in the past. I don't know if they've fixed it. I don't remember exactly how it broke a couple years ago. So I'm probably not going to be doing the custom teams. We'll just use the base expansions. Why not? Looks like chat's going to go with the East. Looks like chat is going with the East. Again, Spurs and Pistons I like, but I kind of like this different spin on it too. Honolulu isn't new. I've used them before. So chat will be going to the East. With that, how many options do we have in the East? There is the Baltimore Barons. You got the Pittsburgh Force. Kansas City is debatable. Kansas City is debatable. So is Louisville. Cincinnati. Jesus, there's a lot of teams in the East. There's a lot of teams in the East. You know what? We're going to have like a runoff tournament here. So, we'll start off with these first couple. Bear with me here. You'll have a lot of voting to do. You'll have a lot of voting to do. So the first 5 options. We'll vote on the rest, don't worry. But out of these 5, which is your favorite, chat? Cincinnati, Louisville, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, or Baltimore? Out of the 5, which is your favorite? I'd allow Kansas City to be in the East. Doesn't make too much of a difference to me. Out of those 5 teams, which are your favorites? We'll still vote on the other teams in a second. You'll essentially have a runoff poll here, is kind of what we're looking at. So we'll see who wins this particular vote, and then look at the other teams that could be considered in the East. But like I said, I don't mind the Pistons-Spurs deal. I mean, Cade versus Wemby, but at the same time, this is a... if I threw it to a vote, it would have ended up landing on this. Let's be honest. Looks like Cincy might win. It's a pretty close vote, but Cincy is ahead by a couple of votes here. Few seconds left to go for your first finalist option. Yeah, if the poll doesn't pop up when I say it's live, your best is to refresh the stream really quickly. By 1 vote, Cincy moves on to the next round. From there, Vancouver, obviously, will be in contention for myself. Somebody else to worry about. St. Louis. I'm going to say St. Louis is in the West. St. Louis is in the West. Based off of hockey as well, I'm saying Nashville's in the West. Virginia. So your first new option here. The Virginia Storm. San Diego, of course. For me in the West, you got the Bronx Brawlers. Omaha, we're going to consider. I might go back to Omaha. That was the land of one Herb Dixon. A name that sends chills down the spine of chat as I kick the shit out of him in streamer versus chat in the past. Honolulu would also be there. So, it comes down to this, basically. We're down to the final 3. The Bronx Brawlers, the Virginia Storm, or the Cincinnati Lions. Who will be your team, chat? As we get the massive fuck you, Baltimore. Kansas City, St. Louis West. You're the ones that are like, oh, fucking St. Louis, Kansas City should be in the West. So I put St. Louis in the West. Oh, but they put the other one in the East. Make up your mind if it was a problem or not. Make up your mind. What's the matter with you? I'm from Omaha. Well, fuck you. How about that? Did you ever consider that? Looks like it'll be Cincy or Virginia. Will it be the Virginia Storm for chat or the Cincinnati Lions? Meow. Looks like it's going to be Cincy. Looks like it's going to be Cincy. So we have chat's team in the form of the Cincinnati Lions. And, well, I mean, based on location, we got to put you in the Central. Right there with Cleveland, Indiana. You guys are going to the Central. So have fun with that. So instead of being the Pistons, you get to deal with the Pistons. And you know what? To make it interesting, since you would have been the Pistons but now have to deal with the Pistons, I would have been the Spurs, so I will pick a team and make them in the Southwest so that I have to deal with the Spurs. That way, Detroit and San Antonio very much still factored in to what's going on here. And given that setup of the Southwest, I mean, San Diego and Honolulu certainly do not make sense Vancouver doesn't make sense either. So I'm at St. Louis, Nashville, or Omaha. I'm at St. Louis, Nashville, or Omaha for my expansion team. The St. Louis Sound. I don't think we've ever used them. The Nashville Stars or the Omaha Airmen. I have been Omaha before, so I'll pick somebody else. It's Nashville or St. Louis? I gotta be honest, I prefer St. Louis's logo. St. Louis! Let's bring it home, baby! Welcome to St. Louis Sound, to the Southwest Division. Chat will take control of the Cincinnati Lions. And I will control... Whoops, we don't want to do that. I guess I can't select the teams yet. And I will control the St. Louis Sound. The modern era begins now. I don't think we got around to running the modern era last year. And again, we're going to get to the WNBA as well. And if chat ties it up, we'll have to do a tiebreak. St. Louis logo gives me big-time ABA vibes. That's fair. Like I said, I wouldn't have minded downloading custom teams, but it fucked up something. I don't remember what, a couple years ago on MyNBA, and I don't want to risk we get like 2-3 seasons in and have to restart. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. The option, the combine can be automatic. Draft signings, expansion draft, free agent, Hall of Fame. The Hoop Summit can be automatic. Player retirement, pre-draft workouts can be automatic. Staff retirement, staff signings, and the Summer League. Obviously now a big difference here too. We want to turn off staff abilities. Actually, staff abilities are fine. Team chemistry rule changes the action points. Draft class quality will be on 50. I still think we should do draft to glory. Save that for a different one. If we come back to NBA later on in the year, we can do draft to glory. But I think we should be allowed to trade. We should be allowed to do free agent signings. But it can essentially be a draft to glory, like Frank just mentioned, depending on the approaches that we both take. So, yeah, we'll turn on trade override in case we need it. Thankfully, we haven't needed it all that much lately. I think we'll be good to go. I think we're good to go. So with that, chat's Cincinnati Lions will take on my St. Louis Sound as we elect to bring in 2 expansion franchises as opposed to taking advantage of Detroit and San Antonio to avoid automatically getting potentially generational talent. I mean, say what you want about Cade at this point with the injury trouble that he's had. Wemby obviously hasn't debuted yet, but yeah, I think this is a fun way to do it. The strategy is going to be very interesting, and it depends on how things play out with the expansion draft in particular. As we get a look, of course, the modern era. So player protection, we'll leave it a surprise. We go to the expansion draft, and the big question is, who's going to be the lucky one? Oh my God, the Warriors are not protecting Klay Thompson. Who gets the first overall pick is the question. The St. Louis Sound get the top pick. You guys get 2 picks after that. But I get the first pick. Whoo, okay. Bradley Beal, Klay Thompson, Rudy Gobert, Jeremy Grant, Spencer Dinwiddie, Yusuf Nurkic. Wow. Sim the draft? I'm not against the idea of simming the draft. If we wanted to, we could sim the draft. I'm not opposed to that. Leave it up to chance. Chat should get the first pick or sim the draft. Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, you think people would be voting to sim the draft if they had the first pick? That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Let's at least do the first couple. You want to at least do the first couple? All right, you know what? I'll leave it up to you guys again. Fuck it. Fuck it. Especially because if I make decisions, you make excuses when I win. First two picks. We can do the first two picks each and then sim. Sim all. Or play it out and do it all. There you go. Let's see. We can do top two, top three, whatever. We'll count top two as top three. We'll see what you guys think. We can sim it all and leave it up to chance. We can do the top 2-3 picks and then sim the rest. We could just go pick by pick. Why not? I'm letting you guys set the stage here. That way you got no excuses. Looks like the first couple picks option is going to win out. So let's do it. With my first pick, no doubt about it, he has extra term on his deal. I don't want to be pressured into drafting Klay Thompson and immediately having to move him. There's no doubt in my mind. My first pick from the Phoenix Suns, Bradley Beal. Although it's showing the Lions as the current team. Hold on. Yeah, but St. Louis Sound had the first pick. Okay, we're fine. Choose player. Bradley Beal. Thank you. Chat's first pick. I mean, let's be honest. We're going off of the top 5 overall. Who will chat select first with their first pick? Really, it's the first two. So the two highest voted upon players is who we'll have you guys take. Since they're all different positions except for Nurkic and Gobert. The top two. There is actually, you know what? That's true. There is a 19-year-old down there in Jalen Duren. You know what? You know what? We'll end that poll. That is true. Good eye to spot a random 19-year-old player. It's a good eye. You know what? Let's just take a look real quick. So at point guard, I mean, it's Dinwiddie. Talon Horton-Tucker is also there. I do not believe you're 22 years old, sir. I do not believe it. So, I mean, if you were to go point guard, right? If you were to go point guard, let's be honest, it would be Dinwiddie, or it would be Horton-Tucker at 22 years old. There's nobody else really in the conversation. I guess Andrew Nembhard is there as well, as an option. Those are pretty much your top 3, though. Yeah. Then you got like Killian Hayes and Trey Mann, but you probably don't want to take them first. If you're going for a shooting guard, let's be honest, it would be Klay, maybe Bruce Brown. Well, Jaden Hardy's there too. Probably look at someone like Jaden Hardy as the top options. Could argue Isaiah Joe, but I mean, you might as well just take Hardy if there's going to be somebody there. At forward, bit more of a tough call. I mean, you'd be looking at like Strus, Brooks, and then Naismith, excuse me, as a 24-year-old. Yeah, Reddish there too. Power forward, you would be looking at Jeremy Grant, maybe Grant Williams, or Aldama at 22 years old. Well, 21. Jalen Johnson also there. Not a bad one to go for. And then at center, we're kind of spurring this other look. Obviously, Rudy Gobert is there. You'd probably take him over Nurkic. But Jalen Duren is there as well at 19 years old and a 79 overall. I mean, it would probably be one of those two. So, vote by position first, then you guys can decide the player. I'm going to guess that you guys are going to go with Duren as the option. And then you can go for whoever else. Yeah, I spent a lot of time typing that for you guys just to take Jalen Duren. There we go. Well, is your next pick obvious then if you're taking Jalen Duren from the Pistons? Go figure. There you go. You get another pick here. Seeing Horton-Tucker mentioned quite a bit. I'm seeing Klay. Horton Tucker or Clay is pretty much what it's looking like it's going to go to. So that'll be up to you guys. Will it be Tucker or will it be Clay as your second pick? What are you thinking? Clay might make the team too good. It's true. If you don't move him in time. Especially with 1 year left on his deal, making 43 fucking million. It was the shooting guard. It was 21. It was Hardy. You mentioned him a bit too late, and to be honest, he and Tucker are interchangeable. I mean, it's a year older and a point better, so. And it looks like Tucker's going to win this one. Horton Tucker from Utah on his way to Chat's team in Cincinnati. I'm back on the clock. Klay Thompson possibility is certainly interesting. I do get back-to-back picks here. So, Sportmaster, what's up? Back-to-back picks gives me an interesting option. Naz Reid is there at 24. There is Jaden Hardy. We doing just 2 or 3? I mean, I saw a lot of people say 3, so figured we'd go with 3. So you guys will get 1 more after this, and then we'll sim the rest. Shits and giggles, because people are pretty much... okay, yes, he has quite a few guys down here that are not so hot, so it's not even necessarily worth it. I am gonna go for a pretty risky move. Klay Thompson and Rudy Gobert. Chat, your final pick. Any arguments against Jaden Hardy, who I saw a lot of people mentioning? Any arguments? You're essentially going with the youthful options. I'm going with the vets. Any disagreement about Jaden Hardy? There it is. All right, from there, we will sim the rest of the drafts and see who ends up where. I'm just going to auto-generate because I don't know what fucking draft class is. I don't know if the draft classes are any good from the creators for rosters, so we're just going to auto-generate. Oh, okay, that was the actual draft, but is what it is. So a look at Chat's inaugural Cincinnati Lions. At point guard, Talon Horton Tucker, Trey Mann. You ended up with him as well, and Miles McBride. Very young options at point guard, to say the least, with McBride having an A- potential. At shooting guard, Bruce Brown, alongside Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Jaden Hardy. So Hardy kind of gets stuck there behind 2 better options. You're going to have to deal with that. At forward, Max Strus, Gordon Hayward, and Marjan Beauchamp. Power forward, Jeremy Grant and Trey Lyles. And at center, Jalen Duren, Daniel Gafford, and Charles Bassey. All in all, not too bad of a starting team. For my St. Louis Sound, at point guards, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dennis Schrader, and Jose Alvarado. Shooting guard, Bradley Beal, Klay Thompson, and Josh Richardson. It's young versus old. At forward, Dillon Brooks, Jonathan Isaac, and Cam Reddish. Power forward, Robert Covington, Jalen Johnson, and Santi Aldama. And at center, Rudy Gobert, and Andre Drummond is back. Let's go, Andre. That's where I lost the last era, was trading away Andre Drummond and going for Pau Gasol. So obviously my team's a little bit further ahead at the moment. You drafted Brooks twice in 20 minutes. Well, you know. So those are our 2 starting teams. I would imagine the draft picks are default, and they are. So we have an even level playing field there. And obviously for the mock draft, now it's just dudes. There's no real names to go off of anymore. It's just dudes. That said, chat, your initial trading block. How do you want to go about this? Do you just want to leave it open and see what offers you get? To be honest, I think that's what we should both do for season 1. I mean, you could say just the oldest dudes. But for the most part, not a bad option to just leave it open. But for you, if you're not going to do that, you probably want to go with the highest rated and the oldest options. But leaving it open works too. Draft class quality is at 50. So. All right, chat's going to leave it open. And to be honest, I'm going to leave it open too. I think we're both just open season. Sid, I'm not sure. I mean, if the modern era contracts are fucked, they're fucked. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. In terms of, by the way, the developmental league and everything, for myself, what the hell can I even do here? Santi Aldama, I'm going to drop down to the G League. He's the only one that I can drop. For you guys, honestly, Jaden Hardy to the G League right now might be your best option. Until you get some other trades in there. I mean, that or someone like Bassie. But yeah, Hardy down to the G League might be the deal. It might be. Might be. What do you guys think? Do I just go with Marjan, given he's 23? Saw Bassie listed too. We'll go Bassie for the moment and see what you guys think. In terms of the deal, honestly, if you want people to play, you might as well just open things up as much as possible, given that we've only been changing the depth. Unless we want to open things up a little bit more with coaching and how hands-on we are, and say that you could drop the slider down to young. If we decide that now, I'm okay with it. There can also be the offensive focus if you want. We can open up what we're allowed to change with coaching a little bit if you guys want to. I'll allow it. Or do we only go with bench depth? That's the question. We should also decide playbook. No, you shouldn't. All right, I'm seeing a lot of hands off. Not putting it to a vote. Any disagreement with having the bench at a full 13 just to get a lot of people playing time? It's a split enough decision that I'm not even going to throw it to a vote. We'll just leave it. Any disagreement? Just have the bench open. Get people playing until you start getting some trades. At least that'll get people some time on the floor. Not a bad decision for you guys. For myself, I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to do. I'm probably going to go with like a typical 10. We both have decent starting coaches as well. So, Dinwiddie, Beal, Brooks, Johnson, and Gobert. 2 expansion teams in the modern era. We'll find out who's going to win first. But this will be fun.